Hello, let me get my hair all together here. I just got it like out of so howdy doody. I just am really disappointed to have to follow up with what I talked about just a few weeks ago or a month ago about these people attacking artworks in museums and who knows where else they're doing it at, in order to promote themselves, basically, really what it comes down to, but they're protesting oil. And that's, great to do that in general, to protest oil, but to attack an oil painting, Van Gogh's sunflowers, they threw tomato soup on it, is it's vandalism. It's a felony. I hope to God that they go to jail and that they're punished the way that most people should be punished or are. There shouldn't be any special treatment of these people. I don't know. This happened in London, so I don't know what actually the laws are. I didn't research it for what vandalism is. I know here in Detroit, it goes either way. Some graffiti that's appreciated, they look the other way. If they decide that it's not something they want, it's a felony, and that's jail time. That's money. That's on your record. Once, I'll never forget, I think it was about 2000, the year 2000. I was at Honest John's bar, a different location that they had, the second location in the Cass Corridor. And I met a man who was actually paid by the city of Detroit at that time by Kwame Kilpatrick to look at city graffiti in general and decide, okay, what is something we can keep and what are the things that we're going to prosecute and get rid of. And usually that's on the owner, often if they don't catch the person who did it, really either way, it's on the owner of the property. So you get something on your property, you get a ticket in the mail and you have to get rid of it or you're in court. And that's always really one of the grand ironies of Detroit and Hamtramck, where we are right now. Hamtramck, the island city inside of Detroit, one of them. There's also Highland Park, very famous place. In general, graffiti now is so hyper, again, publicized and appreciated, quote unquote, but it's gone beyond the point of really even being natural for over a decade, because it's just gone to the point of self-promotion. So, and it's not like the old days, especially from what I witnessed here in Wayne County, Detroit, and like taking the train to Chicago in the early 90s. Oh my God, it's like you would be up in the buildings and going through industrial areas of Gary, Indiana, and coming into Chicago up in the sky, along with the Skyway and on the tops of buildings, and just littered with graffiti. And it was all these tags everywhere. It was really something. And this, nothing, it's not the same today, and I've done a ton of mural work, and I don't find the opportunities anymore. I've even been hustled off of different platforms like Craigslist. I hardly use that as much anymore, because of, I assume half of them are maybe even rivals, muralists who have threatened me, mass shootings, for mass bombing and attacking me, all kinds of stuff, calling from burner phones, and still happens. I've had someone or people, group, or whoever it is, calling me Benjamin and Benjamin Franklin, and texting me from all these different numbers, and texting, I guess they email or they call real estate agents for several years now and request help with something and they use my name, or, quote unquote, Benjamin Franklin, and my phone number. So I've been getting texts and calls from real estate agents. I mean, and it stopped recently, which is interesting in correlation with some other things going on. But so I tie this in also with this pseudo arts activism, because here in Detroit, you're in the center in a lot of ways of the cultivation of this kind of thing as well. And I have to say, when I was a student in Detroit in the 80s and 90s, the politics were not appreciated. And I was put down for having a political bent in my artwork. And, that can be seen if you check out my website at flickr.com, Art Heron Blue. And I'll try to put a link in here eventually. But you can see how I have approached politics to some extent. I have been out there also and marched and picketed, and I've got a lot of stories about that and results. But in terms of it being in the artwork, it wasn't very popular at all. It was discouraged by teachers, by other students. I was discouraged by a lot of people. A lot of these people are professors and the embraced in our arts community business in Detroit and Michigan. So people like Clint Snyder, who I went to school with, and Mitch Cope, and Joe Bernard, who was a teacher of mine, who best friends with Robert De Niro, and all these people, Michael Mann. It's insane. Jack Kerouac stopped at his house with his entourage because his parents were like rich in Connecticut, and Jack Kerouac's mom called him. Joe Bernard's, and actually Joe Bernard has a studio down the street from where we live right now, and lots of artists rented from him, including Clint Snyder, who had his nose way up there. And anyway, these people discouraged politics and art, and I can document this, or it's documented. I can share it even more so. And now today, over the decades, you've seen these people, change, in a very pseudo superficial way. Like these people who are attacking artworks, this guy and others attacked me. My works were destroyed at CCS. And why is that? That's something to be understood more. I did win pretty much every scholarship there was. I've come from a very humble background, though. Not something similar to anyone that was in art school with me. Most of them were very wealthy. None of them from Wayne County, very few. Clint was from Wayne County. His parents, FBI agents here, I don't know. It's just pretty intense, the interweaving of bullshit here in Southeast Michigan and Detroit, and real estate prices, and that's stuff I'd like to get into also. I'm trying to make these lectures quick. Like I said, I am a teacher and artist, musician. I've lectured a lot, so I just kind of want to get some things out there in the free form media here of YouTube. That's what this is about. So that's part of my activism. I'm not destroying other people's works or my rivals' artworks. I don't, I try the best I can to be just a peaceful person who vents through my artwork, through my music, through visual art, through poetry, random chalk drawings in the street, So on to activism in another way of how you can be an activist and just be in your own community. I have had so many issues with the city of Hamtramck here, with our properties, art house, studios, and others here have enjoyed so much freedom, so much privilege. It is disgusting, and some of it is finally getting out into the news over the last few years about Hamtramck, Michigan. But these are things that you must understand that myself and some other people have been calling the ACLU about, have been calling the news about, have been calling national news about, writing to Rolling Stone magazine, writing to New York Times. You can ask them, and if they deny it, they're lying. I have sent emails to all of these people for 14 years about these issues. And where have they been? Where has Jack White been? Where has all of these people been who are now on the propaganda trail of, hey, this is Detroit, and we'll look at what we're doing, and we're pumping our money that we've made across the world now in Detroit, quote unquote. I'm tired of it. And so yesterday I was at, again, the Recycle Here location where I've recycled for a decade or more. Whenever they began, I started recycling there because it was, again, it's one of our only options to get, especially various stuff that even the dumpsters, in our own city here in Hamtramck, they only take like 3 different kinds of items or 4 tops. So there was a whole carload of stuff. I don't take just one little bag like you see most people driving out there to go to this trendy location. But I was there yesterday, and the dude, one guy who was working was, passed out. He looked like he was nodding out on heroin, this young guy. And I've seen him there many times before. He's a pseudo artist. And local wannabe god, Robert Sestock, he has done so much to promote himself, and Jack White to promote him, and vice versa, and the others of the clique, and to stay on top of a pyramid that they think is there. I've seen them talking to this kid. He's nodding out. I go up, just to wake him up. I'm like, dude, and there was another guy there who can witness to what was happening. He's, I believe, one of the people who sits in daily at Scarab's Club, and he had some recycling from there. He was right next to me when I did this, and I'm like, dude, can you tell me where these go? And I knew where they went, but I'm like trying to wake this guy up. And he did wake up. He started to slowly get up. I think eventually another person in this place, you got to understand, if you look at my videos on this place and the money that's actually being pumped in, utilizing these artists, and they utilized me too in the beginning of their project 14 years ago. They recorded me on the railroad track, and the idea of creating a park there in that open space, which they're now creating a building, but also to renovate, to bring back that area of town. And it's coming back now, but they're gentrifying it in such a way that it's, just perverse, really. I mean, at the moment now, I didn't do any filming yesterday because it seems like they have security there and they're unmarked. There are lawyers, I think, who are involved, and I think I know who he is. I viewed him around the project with the project director who I've worked with in the past. It actually turned into a hashtag Me Too thing, and I wouldn't doubt that these people are going to try to attack me for putting these videos on. They watch, as well as negative Nazi Trumpers on our block. They watch my YouTube stuff and my other social media, so I know I'm talking to those people too. But they've got all these buildings now that are completely open. There were all these artists they had put in there, which is the typical thing. They won't even pass codes. They won't, they get these artists in and everyone looks the other way because, oh yeah, they're, So now, which the building I named, Artworks, is now renamed since I've been putting up these videos. There's a big fancy sign. The whole building is gutted, massive old factory type building, from probably about 1900 or late 1800s maybe. But the unveiling of this space is what I'm trying to do, because when it began, there were other intentions, and I was misused right away. And I saw a situation that I describe in former videos about this Recycle Here and their project, this massive gentrification project, and the whole area there now getting gentrified to the point where I don't even know, are they going to be able to get these artists back into the building? What did they do to them? They're displaced now. Maybe they put them in another building. But there's this happening all over the city. I've watched now over the decades where these people with money are buying these buildings, accumulating them, and also growing marijuana, not supporting per se the efforts or medical marijuana patients like myself, but maybe the growers and dispensaries, but into the business aspect more so than the ideal aspect of freeing this up for people. And I can get into that too, and I mean, it is amazing that Biden here is finally going to turn the key maybe a little bit and free up marijuana for the country in general, but it is total hypocrisy. I helped get Obama and Biden elected on the idea that pre-election, Obama said, quote unquote, medical marijuana makes total sense. And what did he go to do? He went on to get elected, and he raided more dispensaries than Bush did. And you can look that fact up. Also, he never did anything hardly for medical marijuana. And then his final year or so, his daughter's caught smoking pot at a concert in Chicago to very little consequences, whereas people who are legal medical marijuana patients like myself, whom doctors support, spent 12 years of being challenged in Detroit, who hides behind this mask of being a liberal, place. I mean, that's why I'm making these videos. I'm trying to unveil this. I'm not supporting the propaganda here anymore. I'm not going to bend over for any group here. I'm going to stand up straight and stand my ground. So I'm making more of these videos. I will make another video with visuals of the Recycle Here development and show you their security that shows up and sits and watches, and whoever they are. I would like these people to be unveiled. Is there a lack of freedom of reporting now because of you? I sat on your railroad track, or on our railroad track there, and described a natural area in that park that now you're building in and you're gentrifying. And I'm tired of being misused in Detroit and Michigan. This is over and over again. Filmmakers like Mark Tierney, who took my idea of filming more artists in Detroit and then runs away with the idea and then turns it into kind of a joke of me, and I never see the footage. I've never seen the footage that Recycle Here took of me and Artworks Building took of me, that project. There's more I can go into about that. And this is just stuff that any other person involved in the arts, music, anything, any musician out there who is a professional, any artist out there who is filmed under the intention that your work and your ideas are sovereign and that you are being asked to share them, that is something that cannot be trampled on, okay, so easily as it is today. And then you go off and sell out your idea like you're a green goddess. No, sorry, I'm calling out Detroit on that, and Michigan in general. And there's a lot of people who don't like me for that. So in general, those are just a few topics I wanted to discuss. I don't know if this thumbnail is going to be popping up, but I have shared a work from 1994, I believe it was, later that year that I finished the work. It's called Leaving Us. And it was inspired partly by the passing of Kurt Cobain, my friend from high school at that time. We were in college, or graduated from high school, when Kurt Cobain passed away, sadly, and he called me, Charlie Campbell, the bass player, and he told me about it. And and I made the sketch and started this drawing. So I'll be sharing works with you over the years that I've created, and talking about art in general. I've taught many classes over decades in private tutoring. I have a different approach. I have my own approach. That's why I am who I am. And I hope you can appreciate what I'm sharing. I know there will be other people who don't, but that's the way it is. That's life. And there are more points I'm sure that I'm missing here, but there's so much to talk about today in general. You want to get into the Ukraine situation, and that is just such a horrible thing. And I'm really hoping that, again, the Russians can stand up and claim peace in their country and claim a better government that's more healthy for the country. And that other countries also admit to their own sins. Everyone has got red, dirty hands in this time of our lives and our period of history. You have to understand that. I've been commenting and sharing and trying to expose also Ukrainian and Eastern European hatred here in Hamtramck. They are a huge community here on our block and in general. And we've been in the news again for in our neighbors, Dearborn and here in Hamtramck, for book banning and attacking us. People just do not realize the types of challenges we have here. This is not a given, this state in the city, for being left. And, or middle of the road left, or, I'm not an extremist. So there's a lot of issues to tackle, talk about here. But anyway, I'm going to leave it at that and clear my throat. All right, take care. Peace.